Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadanti Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Ladita Shivishakam Vidam Sha Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, text 34. So before we start, briefly, I'll just speak about Hayagriva Prabhu. Okay. What was his karmi name? So Hayagriva Prabhu, is a very early disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, he went by Jaladuta, okay, to America. We all know that cargo ship. He boarded from where? From Calcutta. Okay, Jaladuta ship owned by Srimati Sumati Morarji, the owner of that shipping company. Okay, and Srila Prabhupada landed in Boston, and in the same Jaladuta ship, two persons went to India. You know who are they? He was Howard and Keith. By Jaladuta, Prabhupada arrived in Boston in the same Jaladuta ship. These two American boys, young boys of 19, 20, that age, went to India for what? In search of God, in search of spirituality. They were trying many, different paths, this, that, all this. They were not very happy. We know that they are from the Christian background. So they were not getting any answers to their questions, spiritual questions. So they had that spiritual quest. So they knew that it is better to go to India and get some guidance from spiritual masters in India. There are so many yogis there, they have heard. They wanted to, learn this Eastern philosophy. So in the same Jaladuta, these two, Keith and Howard. Howard was lecturer, English lecturer in a college, very learned. And after they went to India, in India, you find different types of sadhus, good sadhus and pseudo sadhus also. So they all got cheated, they got sick, they got malaria, this and that. 4 or 5 months with very difficult struggle there. And, they could not find any genuine sadhu. They were all cheated, taken money, and they fell sick. They got frustrated. And after 4 or 5 months of stay in India, they came back, both of them. They came back. But from there, they got this Hare Krishna mantra and some other mantras and all for chanting. And it so happened that 1966, Prabhupada, established ISKCON in 26 Second Avenue in New York. So that time, they were there in that Bowery where all the hippies, they're all like that, living a hippie life. And when they came to know there is a Swami from India, they thought, okay, we have been to India. And what sort of Swami is this? We want to know. And Keith and Howard, they went. Then after seeing Prabhupada, he said, they introduced themselves. They said, we know this mantra. We had been to India. All this they explained. Then Prabhupada said, we are conducting class, twice a week, please attend. So they wanted to know more about Swamiji, Prabhupada. That time, Prabhupada was not known as Prabhupada, he was known as Swamiji. So they started slowly attending the class. And they liked Prabhupada's way of dealing with them, his simplicity, his humility and all, they liked very much. So, they got so much attracted to Prabhupada's that simplicity and humility, they wanted to help Prabhupada. So, after ISKCON was established in that 26 Second Avenue, New York, Prabhupada didn't have money. It was Howard who gave the first month rent of that place. Okay. It was because from his salary as a professor or lecturer of English, then slowly and gradually, Prabhupada engaged Howard in editing his Srimad Bhagavatam. He had already completed first canto, 3 volume in Vrindavan. So he had already written the manuscript for second canto. And Prabhupada wanted help. So he is very good in English. Howard. So he engaged him. He told him, please edit whatever I write. So he gave him the medicine. He started editing. So the whole second canto he edited to Howard. And it was Howard who brought him typewriter, dictaphone, and one more thing. Yeah, this from his salary he could. So it was the early stage. It was really help. It was a really help for Prabhupada by Howard, and it was very sincere. He was doing that job very nicely. Then slowly and gradually, the first initiation happened. So Keith and Howard was 2 of the devotees who got initiated in the first lot. So they didn't even know properly the 4 regulative principles. Prabhupada didn't give much stress on that because he didn't want to scare these devotees, foreign devotees, because they are into many. But on the day of initiation, he explained all this 4 regulative principles and all. Anyway, they got initiated. It was dire emergency to get some devotees into the fold. So he had to compromise a bit. He could not force them much. But then they started, because it was Prabhupada instructing them, they all followed all these things. But because of their upbringing, they were into all these illicit activities. Howard could not, follow the instructions even after the initiation. So he was feeling so sad that he could not keep up to his vow of initiation. So he went away. And again, he was into the bad habits of illicit activities and drugs, this and that. So Prabhupada was very sad. So he sent another devotees to search for Howard, because he was doing a very good seva of editing the manuscripts, the second kind of Bhagavatam. And some of the devotees could locate him, then requested, Prabhupada is calling you, please come back. Then he was feeling ashamed to come back, because with what face will I come back? What will I say? I have taken vow and I'm not following that. How can I come? Then again the devotees requested, no, Prabhupada is calling you. He wants your service. He didn't come. Then later, after some time, again he was feeling guilty. Then devotees requested, again came. Then he told Prabhupada, so sorry Prabhupada, I could not keep the promises. But no problem, you please try. Now you please stop all these things and please, continue to follow the regulative principles and do the service. he did that for some time. Again, after that, because of the vasana, the impressions, that they are carrying from time immemorial, the samskaras, the vasana, he could not stick to that. Again, he left. Okay. Then he again left and again started. And it happens few times. And again, he was called, but he could not show his face to Prabhupada. And then he could not come, and he did not come also. Then later, Prabhupada was very busy, the movement picked off, and he started opening centers in different parts of the world. And again, he remembered Hawat. This boy is very good. Somehow or other, I have to bring him back. So it was in New Vrindavan, West Virginia. He remembered. Then he sent devotees to search for Hawat. And that time, of course, he was already initiated. Name was Haigriva Prabhu. Okay, so please, call Haigriva. I want his service. And he was called. Then again, Prabhupada somehow, counseled him, and please stay and leave all these bad habits. You are a good devotee, so please do not leave. Then he somehow agreed. And after some time, then Prabhupada tricked him. Okay, now that you take sannyas. Prabhupada told him, you take sannyas. And I said, no, Prabhupada, I'm not following the regulatory principles also properly. How can I take sannyas? No, you can take sannyas, this and that. Okay, if you cannot take sannyas, at least become the temple president. Actually, he wanted him to become temple president. So if he says straight away you become temple president, he will not listen. So that's why he tricked him. He takes sannyas. So then he will, compromise, and come to this. So he said, okay, temple president. So then he was temple president there for some time. Again, he could not keep up this thing, and after that, he again left. And so much of service he was doing, and he was Prabhupada's really, he's the first rent and typewriter and dictaphone, whatever money he gets, he'll give it to Prabhupada. So good service. Then, like that he went. Then Prabhupada, during his last years of on this planet, 1977, he remembered Haigriv Prabhu. He wrote a letter to Haigriv. My dear Haigriv, I like you so much. Your service, you have done so much service to me. You have been, you were editing my second canto very nicely. You edited my second canto. You paid the first rent of, that first temple in New York. You helped me with money. You bought typewriter, you bought dictaphone, and you have done a lot of service. And it is my prayer that you will go back home, back to God in this very life. Okay. And he sent gave a letter to devotee. He doesn't know. Prabhupada doesn't know where is he, because he was lapata. He was, gone. Where is he? Nobody knows. No, devotees also doesn't know where Haigriva Prabhu is, because he is again back to into his own lifestyle before joining ISKCON. So he was, wandering here and there like hippie. So this letter was given in a very nice letter, that, I'm sure you, because you have done a lot of devotional service, you will go back home, back to what in this very life itself. So this letter was given to the devotees, but whom to give? Nobody knows. Where is he? Like that, after so many years, after Prabhupada left this planet in 1977, and after 2-3 years, I think after 2-3 years, our Srinath Prabhu, who was in Chaupati, ISKCON Chaupati, he had gone to Goa for some, official trip. He's from a very rich family, business family. Actually, he also left his body about a couple of years back. He was in whose house Prabhupada used to stay in Bombay. His father was MP, and his father only helped Prabhupada to get passport for our Guru Maharaj, Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj and all. So Srinath Prabhu also remembers very nicely this incident. He had gone to Goa. He was in the beach, okay, and he saw a person, totally drunk and sleeping underneath that boat is there, no, on the seaside, the Goa beach side and all, the small fishing boat and all, unused. So he was there fully bearded person, totally unconscious. Then he just was looking very carefully. Who is this person? Looks like an Westerner, not an Indian. So he very closely looked. Then he came to know, oh, this is our Haigrave Prabhu. How come he is here? Immediately called him, and because then he said, oh, he could recognize Haigrave. They checked how you are here, what happened. Said, because I was enjoying sense gratification so much so that he got a spinal cord problem, pain in the spinal cord. He could not sit, he could not walk properly. So Srinath Prabhu arranged for his ticket and to send him back to America for treatment. Then so he did a very good thing. They discuss each other what all things happen in between. So he was sent back to America. He bought the ticket for him, air ticket for him. He did not have money, and he was having totally bedridden and he was sent back. Then there he could I think he took some treatment, but nothing happened. He was not at all okay physically, health wise. Then he thought, now what can I do with this body? It is totally invalid. I cannot, live a life like this. Now, at least this last years of my life, let me forget all other bad habits and live like a sadhu in the temple. So he went back to where? West Virginia, New Vrindavan Temple. There, he started, chanting, full day chanting, 64 rounds like that, all we used to chant. He was totally, invalid. He could not do anything, only chanting and, only chanting. And one day, it so happened that Radhanath Swami Maharaj went there. So he got to know about Haigreva Prabhu's condition. They explained everything. Then Haigreva Prabhu said, I have two good things happened in my life. That is, one is I got this disease, spinal problem. I'm totally invalid. It's a good thing that, why? Because I could stop all my bad habits because of this. It is Prabhupada's mercy. It is Krishna's mercy. And I'm now chanting, most of the time I'm chanting, I have stopped all my bad habits. I've done so many bad, sense gratificatory activities, but now that I've stopped, now whatever few months or few years, whatever is there in my disposal, I want to totally forget all my earlier bad activities and concentrate on holy name. So he was chanting the whole day. He could not do any other service. Now I have a request, because Prabhupada had asked me to take sannyas. Okay? Prabhupada had asked me to take sannyas, and I did not accept at that time. I was not in a position to. So I disagreed. I did not accept his instruction. So I'm feeling very sorry for that. Now, can you please do me a favor? He is asking Radhanath Swami Maharaj, can you please give me sannyas? I want to fulfill the request or the instruction rather of Srila Prabhupada, which I did not do in the earlier days when he instructed me. So at least now that I'm sure that I will not indulge in any bad activities and I'm continuously chanting. So please do me a favor of giving me sannyas. Then Radhanath Maharaj said, since it's a seva and it is your request for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, and I will do that seva for you. So he gave sannyasa to Haigreva Prabhu after a long time. So he was totally into chanting, no bad habit, because he could not do that. In that condition, what bad habits will do? So he stopped everything. and he was given sannyas to Hayagriva Prabhu. So there, after giving sannyas, I think after about 4 to 6 months, I think he left his body as a sannyasi, stopping all the bad activities. So Prabhupada could foresee this. Otherwise, how could Prabhupada predict that he is going to leave this body and go back home, back to God? Because at least towards the end of his life, he did a very pious life. Okay, although forcibly, and he understood his mistake, he realized his mistake, and he, became a sannyasi. And Prabhupada wrote that letter, and that letter became true, and he lived like a monk or sannyasi, leaving all the bad habits, and definitely he has gone back home, back to Godhead. So that is the service that Hayagriva Prabhu has done to Prabhupada and the ISKCON movement as a whole. So this is in brief what I recollected from a lecture given by a devotee. Okay, so this is Prabhupada's words came true. And otherwise, how he knows that there is no address of the Hayagriva Prabhu, and by God's grace, Srinath Prabhu met him in Goa beach. He could recognize him. He helped him to go to US, and again he repented for whatever he has done. Then he has gone back to New Vrindavan temple. Then there he practiced Krishna consciousness very nicely. He chanted the whole day, and he could fulfill what Prabhupada instructed him to become a sannyasi, and requested Ramnath Swami Maharaj to give him sannyas. And he lived a very, very pious life towards the end, and Prabhupada's words became true. So this is Hayagriva Prabhu's brief what I understood from the lecture of the devotee. Okay, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
It's a lot, but in brief, only I've mentioned that.
It's okay, Prabhuji. It was very nice. Even glorification of Prabhupada, we were getting both the input. Thank you so much.
Very good, Hare Krishna. So now we'll read text 34. Yata prakashayati ekaha Krishnam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata Krishnam prakashayandi bharata. Yes, Sachi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yada prakashayatyeekah Krishnam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tadha Krishnam prakashayati bharata.
Very good. Mayuri Mataji, translation please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living
entity.
What is hidden actually? Living entity, the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, the sun illuminates the whole universe. Okay. Similarly, the living entity illuminates the whole body. How? By spreading consciousness. So the soul is the self, the living entity. And from the soul comes the consciousness which spreads throughout the body. Because we have consciousness, anything happens to our body, we feel pain, pleasure, and everything because of the presence of the soul, and that pervades the whole body, that is consciousness. Okay. So the good example is given just like how sun is illuminating the whole universe. this soul is illuminating through consciousness the whole body, the entire body. So there are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe. So a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of the body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. So where is the soul situated? Where is the soul situated?
In the heart of
In the
body.
heart of
Yes, in the region of the heart. Okay. So, and that soul is covered by the subtle body, and that subtle body is covered by the gross body. Okay. So the soul is giving consciousness to the body. So the moment the soul leaves the body, no consciousness. So if you cut the hand, if you cut the head, if you cut the leg, nothing is going to happen. We don't know, because there is no consciousness. So it is because of the presence of the soul we experience pain, pleasure, all other things that we are experiencing through this body. So no soul means no consciousness. It's a good example. So as the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul. As sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the soul, presence of the sun. When the soul is present in this body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. That's why we say he left the body, she left the body. Okay. So who is that person? That is the spirit soul. Okay. The moment the soul leaves the body, it is dead matter, dull matter. It is as good as earth, a stone. The stone doesn't have any life, isn't it? So the soul, when it leaves the body is of no use. It costs, as per the value of the chemicals that has in the body, it costs 110 rupees. Yes, Prince Prabhu. The cost of this, that elements that is in the body, it costs only 110 rupees approximately. That's what this is. Without soul, the body without soul. But when the soul is there, a small cut is enough. We are spending millions of rupees. When the soul is not there, no value. If you sell this body in the market, you may get some, 110 rupees. That's it. So that is, the consciousness. So when the body is conscious, we are ready to spend millions of rupees for the upkeeping of the body. Okay, for treating different diseases. So this can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. So what is the symptom? Consciousness is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme, because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. So as we have explained earlier, the individual spirit soul does not share the consciousness of that particular individual soul with another individuals. That is the speciality of the individual soul. It is only localized. The consciousness is pervaded only within that body only. My consciousness cannot be, spread to somebody else's body. But whereas the super soul is there in all the bodies. The super soul is there in my body. The super soul is in your body, in the dog's body, in the aquatic's body. So whatever is happening, super soul knows. In your body or in my body or in any other bodies. But the individual soul is limited to that particular body only, localized. So, but the super soul, which is seated in all bodies as a friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. So, what is the basic difference of individual soul and super soul? What's the basic difference?
Individual soul knows only about that own body, but super soul knows about everyone.
Yes.
So that's why qualitatively it's the same, but in quantity difference. What is the quality? It also knows everything that happens within the body, and super soul knows within all the bodies. So quantity wise is more. Yeah. So quality is same, is spread, consciousness is spread, but within the same body only. But super soul, consciousness is spread throughout the creation. So this is it. So life comes from matter. Life comes from where? Where does the life come from? Yes, Prince Prabhu.
Comes from life.
Yeah, life comes from life. Okay, it's not the combination of some chemical. Okay, life is not coming from some matter. Life comes from life. Okay. That's why Krishna says, Mamai Vamsu Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Mamai Vamsu, my Amsha. All the living entities. And he is sentient. He is conscious being. It's not matter. And from that conscious being comes the little individual conscious beings in different bodies. Life comes from life, not from chemicals, not from matter. Okay. I have read some, somebody, I don't know, WhatsApp, I was just reading. What is that? Everything from nothingness and everything goes to nothingness. Yes. The thing, everything comes from nothingness and goes back to nothingness.
Just talking about impersonalism, bro.
Yes. From nothingness, what comes? How it can come? Everything comes from nothingness and it goes back to nothingness. It's all weird philosophy. Okay, that is from nothing. There's nothing. If suddenly one building will come up like that, and that the Burj Khalifa, suddenly one fine day morning it just manifested. It needs all the ingredients: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Without the ingredients that is given by the Supreme Lord, you cannot construct anything. And even the dull matter, even the building which is not sentient, and life, it cannot come from. If that was the case, in the laboratory, they could have made living beings, right? Even if they are doing some manipulation, they are taking from the nature. The elements they are taking from the nature only, what God has given. They are just manipulating it, that's all. They cannot give life. They are making so many robots. Okay, can they give life and giving willing, thinking and feeling? They can make robots and they can make them do work that even the human cannot do. Such things they can do. But behind that, whose brain? There is a human brain. Can they give this robot willing, thinking and feeling? No. They cannot do that. And they taking chemicals, they can make a body and give consciousness to that. They cannot do that. So they are trying level, but it is nature's law that life comes from life, not from any chemicals. It's not a combination of some chemicals that you can make life in the laboratories. They cannot make even a small mosquito. What to speak of other species? Okay. When we give grass to the cow, what comes out is milk. And that same grass, let them give to some machine, and will the machine produce milk? And let them give this same grass to some other animal. Will it produce milk? And all these so-called scientists are telling, everything happens by chance. It's automatically happening. Such a complex machinery. You take, a small ant or a mosquito. See the complexity of that living entity. Forget about the human being. And they're telling everything is happening by chance. So any questions or any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The one sloka you told just now, when we told that Krishna's life comes from life. After that, you told one sloka, no? That
Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Mamai Vamso Jiva. All are my fragmental parts. Okay. Whose fragmental parts? Lord Krishna's. Mama Amsha means parts, portions. Jiva Loke in this manifested universes. Jiva Bhuta, living entities. Sanatana, eternal. So in this material world, all are my fragmental parts and they are eternal. So eternal means we were existing in the past, we are existing now, and we will be existing in the future. That's what it is given in second chapter also. Natve vaham jatvanashu, natvam neme janadiba. Never was there a time that I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings. And never shall any of us cease to be. That means we are eternally existing. We were existing, we are existing, we will be existing as spirit soul. Body may change according to our karma and desire. We may not have the same body. According to our karma and desire, we may have different bodies. Now that I have this human body, if I do pious activities, I'll get a better body like demigods, Gandharvas, Kinnaras. And if I perform sinful activities, I will get the lower bodies, animals, aquatics, trees, plants, birds, reptiles, like that. But the spirit soul within that body remains the same and eternal. Sanatana. So we can never at any point of time merge into the Brahman. Even if that is there, we will have to come back again into this material world. Even though that Sayuja Mukti, that merging in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, Brahman, is there. That is one of the liberation. But that is a lawless liberation. Why? Because it is that merging is not eternal. But the other, there are 5 types, okay, of which the 4 are prominent. The 5th, Sayuja, is the lowest. Sayuja, Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, Sastya. Okay. So these 4 are eternal. Once you get liberation in any of these 4, that is Samipya, Salokya, Sastya, and Sarupya, you will never come back. But Sayuja will have to come back. You have to come back. Why? Because it is temporary. It's just our feeling that we are losing our individuality. We can never lose our individuality because Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you are always eternal, Sanatana, and you keep your individuality. either in the material world or in the spiritual world. The individuality is maintained. In the spiritual world, we keep our individuality as servants to the Supreme Lord. And in the material world, we keep our individuality in different bodies as servant to Maya, especially in the human being, in the forms of human being. Okay, Prabhuji, please, Prabhu. So, whether we are in the human body or in any other bodies for that matter, we maintain our individuality. At no point of time we will lose our individuality. That's the guarantee. That's the version of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So it is this verse, Natvevaham Jadunasham, Natvam Neme Janadiba. So what is that third and fourth line? Anyone remembers? Tarini Mataji, you remember that?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Natvevaham Jadunasam Natvam Neme Janadipa Nachaivana Bhavishyamaha Sarve.
Yeah, survey.
Param.
Okay, can you please read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
It's second chapter. I don't remember the second chapter. Which slogan?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
This is a 2.12. 2.12.
Okay, please read the translation, Mataji.
I have Hindi book.
Okay, Hindi में no problem.
ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ है कि मैं ना रहा हूँ या तुम ना रहे हो अथवा ये समस्त राजा ना रहे हो और ना ऐसा है कि भविष्य में हम लोग नहीं रहेंगे.
इसका मतलब क्या है? That means we were existing, we are existing, we will be existing.
Yes.
How is it that possible that we will merge with the Supreme Lord? तो सवाल ही नहीं पैदा होता है. सही है ना?
Yes, Prabhu.
So it's a misconception that we will one day cease to exist. No, we will not. So is it clear, Prince Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So in the material world, we are serving Maya. In the spiritual world, we are serving the Supreme Lord. That's only different. So as long as we are in this material world, we have to serve Maya. Okay. And the moment we get liberated from this material world, then we will serve the real master. That is Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. Okay, any other points or any questions? Saraswati Mataji, you are telling something?
No, Prabhuji, no, I was just reading that same sloka, Prabhuji.
Okay. So it's a nice sloka. So if somebody says that, after this life, we will not have any existence, so you can quote this sloka. Okay. You can quote this sloka. We are the only, what is destroyed is only the body. The soul is never destroyed. And we know from second chapter the characteristics of the soul. You cannot burn it with fire, you cannot wet it with water, you cannot wither it by air, all this. You cannot cut into pieces with any weapon. It's so small, even any devices, any instrument, material instrument you use to see it, you cannot see it. It's smaller than the atom. And it's given the size of the soul as 1/10,000 of the part of the tip of the air. That is the size of the soul. Okay. So you cannot destroy the soul at all. And can you, it's not that Lord Krishna is making new souls. Sometimes whenever he wants, he make new souls, and whenever he wants, he, destroy some souls. No. He is only destroying the body of the demonic people. And he is liberating especially when people are killed directly by Supreme Lord. They are liberated. All those who are participating in the Mahabharata war, they all got liberated. Whether it is whatever it is, Sayuja Mukti or Samipya, whatever it is, they all got liberated from this material world for sure. Okay, so directly by the Supreme Lord. It is to live in this world in the presence of the Supreme Lord Krishna was itself very, very lucky. And to get killed by Krishna is the most luckiest people, even though unfavorably. There are people, most of them, especially on the opposite side in the Mahabharata war, they are not fighting for Krishna, they are fighting against Krishna, but still they will get liberated from this material world. So, any other points? I will stop here. So 35 is next week. Okay, 35. Please note